Okay, in Heartbreak Creek again today. And my brother Keith, looks like he's just come up on a little point. Go ahead and get that up out of there. See what you got.
Oh yeah, Bob, that's nice.
Oh yeah, nice.
Wow, good little point.
Really nice.
Entangled.
We're at another creek and it's pretty rough looking. But I have come across this right here. It looks like it's broke. Yep, it's broke, but it's still nice. All right, keep going for a little bit longer. It's really, really hot. All right, we're here in Heartbreak Creek again, and I just walked up on this. Can you see that right there? This is what we're looking at. And it's thundering and lightning. And we had to wait in the car for the rain to stop, and we're just now in the creek, and oh my God, I'm so glad I came. Please be whole. Oh, yes. Oh, it's still got the needle tip and everything. Oh, look at that. All right, okay, let's try to find some more. All right, we're still in Heartbreak Creek. About an hour later, and I just walked right past this one. My brother busted me out on this one, but I couldn't see it because of the grass, but he took a closer look, and that's what was there. Go ahead and pick that up, Bubba. Looks like a little woodland piece. Oh, beveled. Yeah, beveled. Nice. All right, that's number 3 for the day. Okay, so we're on our first creek walk of the season. I just walked up and found this little piece here. It's a tip and one wing. You see that? My wife walked up, and before I even had a chance to look around, saw that. Pick that up, baby. See what that is.
Oh, it's thin.
Oh, nice. Oh my gosh.
Ooh, man, that is paper thin.
Yeah, go wash it off in the creek.
Oh, there's another piece.
Another piece of flint right there. Live. This is some live action for you guys.
Oh, baby, this is pretty.
Oh, it is. It's beautiful. Let's see it. Wow. It's a little bitty nick off the tip.
It's paper thin.
Oh, it's paper thin. Okay.
Is it? It's beveled.
Definitely
Maybe?
beveled. Well, let's see.
Yeah, I think it is.
No, it's just beveled on this one side. It's a McCorkle. That's what it is. Hold it right there. Hold it right there. There you go, people. We're at it. All right. Last time here in Heartbreak Creek for the season. Rainy day. We just walked through a rainstorm. And I came up on this right here. It's like a nice little point. Looks like it's broke. Yeah.
Got a little wing damage.
And a little wing and tail damage, but wow, that's an old one.
Got a pretty tip, don't it?
Tip's still really nice.
Hey, good job.
Thank you. Let's keep going. Here we are down in the Ohio River bottoms. Spent a lot of time down here as well. Arrowhead hunting in these fields. So, I'm going to take you guys to a spot I know about. It's an abandoned cemetery down here in Reed, Kentucky. Ohio River bottoms. And we're going to read this story. So we can't even read it. This place is long abandoned. Spooky little spot I've known about for a long time. $1888. All these headstones are back from the 1800s. And there's a lot more that you can't see because of all the undergrowth, or overgrowth, I should say. Ellen, wife of J. Jones, born 1835, died 1895. Hey everybody, welcome back. We're here in a abandoned cemetery today. It's just down in Reed, Kentucky. We're surrounded by cultivated farm fields and the river. It's down to my right, so I want to read you a story today about, so I guess you could say a related subject. You might not have ever heard of this one. In fact, if you haven't read any of my books, you probably haven't. But it's called Grave Diggers. Now, this happened to a friend of mine in Boyle County, Kentucky. I'm going to read you his actual report from my first book. His name is Terry. This happened in 1970. Me and a friend went fishing one morning. It was in the spring about 1970. We had to walk a few miles east on the L&N railroad tracks from Shelby City, Kentucky. It is now Junction City, Kentucky. We would sneak in this pond to bass fish. I had to be home before noon one day, so I started back by myself and left my friend fishing the pond. On the way back down the tracks, this creature landed on the tracks in front of me. When I say landed, I mean jumped, because all I saw was a blur, and then there it was. It stood about 4 feet tall, he said, and stood or squatted on 2 legs. It was covered with real fine fur on its fat body. It had a little round head that moved like an owl's head, almost in circles. It had little round eyes and a mouth full of razor-sharp teeth. Its teeth were almost transparent, kind of like a bat's. It sort of favored a bat in the face. It had small ears and a small nose. The thing didn't have any lips, just teeth. Its arms looked like they came out of its chest, and they were spindly. It had long fingers and a thumb on each hand with long claws. Its arms didn't have any hair or fur on them. They were slick and oily looking. The thing couldn't see good in the daylight because it squinted a lot, and it never did see me when it landed in front of me. It acted like it was watching for the trains. It would rub its tiny head on its arm every now and then. It looked right at me and couldn't see me, and I was only about 30 or 40 feet from it. I could see its fur moving. And he's got a witness sketch here. I wonder if you guys can see this. That's what it looked like, and there's a couple of prints that it left. The creature could never make a sound. I was dumbfounded. I'd never seen anything like it before and haven't since. I wasn't scared at first, but I really wasn't sure what to expect. I had a tackle box in one hand and a fishing rod in the other, but I did have my hunting knife with me. As I tried to switch my fishing rod over to my other hand so I could get to my hunting knife, I accidentally rattled my tackle box, and that's when this thing heard me. It leaned forward and squinted its eyes, and when it saw me, it reared back and kind of puffed up. I thought it was going to attack me, so I jerked my knife out. When I did, this thing took off so fast it was like a blur. In one leap or jump, it cleared a fence about 40 feet away and was gone. I shook my head because I couldn't believe how fast this thing could move. I took off running up to where it leaped the fence, but I never saw it again. I never did see this thing's legs because it squatted all the time, but they sure must have been powerful. This thing could have easily gotten me if it had wanted to. I believe it only comes out at night, and just by chance I got to see it. Maybe it was headed to its home or den after a night of hunting or whatever it does. I've thought about it, and I believe it burrows in the ground like a groundhog, because not far from where I saw this thing is an old family cemetery plot with slab graves and a rock wall around it. There are huge holes in this cemetery under the graves. If a groundhog had dug these, they couldn't see anything sneaking up on them because of the wall around them. But it could still be groundhogs, I guess. My grandmother told me of a thing the old people call it a grave digger, and it moves real fast and digs in graveyards, but I don't know. I know I saw this strange creature and it has to stay somewhere. Another man I know saw it one night run across the road in front of him, and it only paused for a second to look at him, and then it was gone. The way he described it, it was like exactly what I saw. He said he's never seen anything move so fast in his life, especially on two legs. This was also on the L&N Railroad tracks about 12 miles from where I saw it. It was in Parksville, Kentucky, where he saw it. The strange thing, it was near a cemetery, as a matter of fact. That's where it came from when it ran in front of him. When I saw this creature, it was a beautiful spring morning. The sun was shining, and I watched it for what seemed like 10 minutes or more. I could have watched it longer if I hadn't made any noise, if I'd only had a camera. Of course, we got helicopters flying over now. Apologize, guys. Hope that's not interfering with the audio quality too bad. The creature's arms looked like they came right out of its chest. It didn't have shoulders. I could see its legs. I couldn't see its legs because it was squatted and its feet and legs were hidden by the rail. When it landed in front of me, it just crouched down. Its legs could have been very long, but its legs couldn't have been very long, but they sure were powerful to move like it did. It didn't have a tail. I couldn't make out the pupils of its eyes. Its eyes were very small and round, and they were very dark, maybe not completely black, but almost. Its face looked mean and curious. The thing blinked a lot. It would squint its eyes as if it couldn't see very good in the daylight. Its snout or nose did not protrude. It had a pug nose and was dark brown, no fur on it. It did favor a bat in the face. Its teeth were razor sharp and very close together. It had perfect teeth and a bunch of them. They were almost clear. I guess they looked like that because they were so sharp and thin, like a bat's teeth. It looked like they were all the same length, but the upper teeth almost covered the lower ones up. It had a fat, round body. Its head looked too small for its body, and there was no neck. When it finally saw me, it leaned forward quite a bit and squinted at me like it was trying to make out what I was. Then it was gone like a speeding bullet. This thing's head turned like an owl's head, almost in a complete circle. It had long, slender arms and very long fingers with long, black, sharp claws. Actually, they looked like fingernails. It had knuckles on its fingers. There were 3 fingers and a thumb. Its skin on its arms looked oily and real dark brown, about the color of used motor oil. Its fingers moved constantly. Its fur was real fine, and I could see it moving when the wind blew. Every now and then, it would raise its arm and rub the side of its head like it was scratching or something, but it always moved its head toward its arm. It never would move its arm very far. It always kept them straight out in front of it. Its ears were little and short. I could barely see them above the fur. Its fur was darker on the ends, and the closer it got to the body, the lighter it got. Some places were grayish in color. It looked like it didn't have any lips at all. Just mostly upper teeth in a straight line and extremely sharp. Its nose was just a small button-like nose with 2 nose holes. It didn't have a chin. This would be hard to describe, but its thumbs were on the bottom of both hands. It almost looked like it had 2 right hands. Its fingers were on the top, and it looked like its arms came out of its chest and they were closer together. No shoulders. I guess its hands looked like they were backwards, but it had long, slender fingers on top of each hand and a thumb on the bottom. and both thumbs were on the same side, if you know what I mean. So I contacted Terry and was able to do a sketch for him of this thing myself. So here's the sketch that I did based on his eyewitness description. I hope you can see that right there. Okay, Terry's grandparents and parents knew the thing as well, he told me. And according to them, it was called a gravedigger. It was a common belief among the older folks of the area that these things traditionally made their homes in old graveyards and survived by eating the decomposing flesh of cadavers. They were also said to be nocturnal in nature, and it was an extremely rare occasion to see one. The actual length of time during the sighting and the amount of details concerning the creature's appearance is unprecedented, and as I was preparing the sketch of this animal under his direction, it struck me that I had never before heard or read of anything resembling it in over 20 years of cryptid research. This was something totally new on the cryptozoological lists, and thus seemed likely a highly localized phenomenon. Perhaps those strange creatures exist nowhere else on Earth but central Kentucky, one wonders. I was only about 40 feet away from this thing, Terry said, and I couldn't see any legs at all. They must have been folded up under it. All I saw was its body sitting on the ground, and the rail wasn't tall enough to hide much. It's been over 30 years now since I've seen it. I was only about 15 years old, and I was dumbfounded when I saw it. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and after all these years I still lie in bed at night trying to envision this thing again. I guess it put me in a daze when I saw it. Moreover, Terry later explained to me that when it jumped or hopped these great distances, it accomplished its feat in such a quick manner that it appeared to him as just a blur of motion. It moved so fast and quietly that he never even saw where it came from. This unnerved him most about the encounter. He just couldn't see how a natural animal could move like that. It seemed impossible. So, I've been keeping in contact with Terry all this time, almost 20 years now, and he's still having things happen down there in Boyle County at his places that he goes to. He likes to arrowhead hunt. He's just a good-natured country boy like myself, completely honest and believable. So I'm definitely going to go down there soon and maybe do an investigation and a video trying to catch a glimpse of this gravedigger creature, which might actually be a true cryptid and not an inhumanoid. I don't know. My good friend Elijah Henderson from the Cryptid Studies Institute, he has done, and his late father have done a little research on this as well, and he sent me some stuff, some information that I need to look over. So I'll get back to you guys, and thanks everyone for stopping in, visiting with Letitia and I hope you guys have a great day. See you next time.